Why, hello, folks. Either I'm very early or I'm very late, and you folks all disappeared. No, it's just 8:30 now, and I know some people will be attend. Oh, hey, there's a someone. Life and sad ending. Hello, Lance Chafin says, "Hey, you Thrash." Danny Staten, greetings from South Carolina, and hello to you all, gentlemen. I'm sure there's a way to actually highlight. Actually, I'm going to try this. I learn something new every day. I'm going to I'm going to stop messing around because I almost reported the life and sad ending. Oops a days. No, I didn't. But I'm just going to give verbal shout outs. I'm sure there's a way to show your message in the text, and we'll learn that for next time. Oh, Tracy Rothmeyer says, "Hi, Robert." And to you too, Tracy. Zuberplex says hello. Um, wow, we're getting people left and right here. Yes, welcome to my second live chat. We should have a lot of fun tonight. Live and editing says, "Ah, what I do?" No, nothing. It was, I thought I could, if I highlighted the comment and clicked those little three dots on the side, I could post up your message into a graphic separator like we do on our other chats. But apparently, it's easier said than done, as the saying goes. Oh, Mr. Led just appeared. Hello to you, Mr. Led. Good to have you in the house. And so yes, welcome to my second chat. Um, can you guys hear me okay, by the way? I always ask that. I was afraid everyone's just gonna be polite and I'll actually be mumbling all the way through the show. Uh let's just see. Oh, Danny Stanton brought up a good point. No notification. Just remembered you were on tonight. Yes, Danny. Apparently, you have to have at least 500 subscribers to put those little posts up. That's why I did that little blurb in my content channel stating I was going to be on tonight. Um, Ian was going to do it for me, but he's actually only 30 away from 500, so he couldn't do it either. I probably should have just asked you. In fact, next time, would you mind doing a reminder for everyone for me? Let's see what else we got there. Oh, and by the way, if I seem to have trouble reading, these things scroll as they go. So as I'm reading, it's jumping up from me, but I'll try to skip on down. Oh, sounds great. Thank you very much again, Danny. Superplex says, "Mr. Led, are you perchance related to Mr. Ed?" I keep wanting to call his daughter Miss Led, but that's just me. Oh, Dave Clarodi is in the house. I've been looking forward to this. I've been looking forward to having you folks here. Holy Dave Sunstrom, everyone's favorite YouTuber is in the house. Dave, I am honored to have you in my humble chat room. Let's see. Oh, John H says hi, Thrash. Hi to you, John. The golden age of TV. You promised me you'd make it. Hey, phone tag, you're it again. No backsies. Um, oh, Golden Rage says break a leg, Bob. Dave Sunderland says just making sure Thrash doesn't talk about Planet of the Apes tonight. No, I promise. Oh, I just did bite my tongue. There'll be no further discussion on the franchise for this evening. Kenneth Wilkinson is in the house. Good evening, Thrash. Good evening to you too. Always good to have my friends of channel in the house. And like I say, I have some very interesting things planned. And we're going to wait for a few more people to pop in. We already have 10. That's nice. But I'm sure more people will pop in. I don't want anybody to miss anything. I just want to say thank you guys so much for your support. I was actually astonished at the success of my first live chat. Everybody warned me, hey, don't worry too much about your first chat. It's a little more difficult than it looks. Things never go according to plan. And it actually went surprisingly well. I wouldn't say it went off without a hitch, but I had a lot of fun. Everyone else had a lot of fun, and it just seemed like it went a lot more smoothly than I. Well, of course, I bargained for a train wreck, so anything shy of train wreck was a victory in my book. Let's see. Skipping down through. Oh, Dave Sundstrom says we've got to get TP hooked up on StreamYard. Yes, that's the next step. Well, because of course, Danny State and I are planning a few live shows down the road, and apparently it is much, much, much easier to do live chats on StreamYard than it is on YouTube. This is basically more of a shakedown cruise, you might say. I'm just trying to get my sea legs. And let's see, everybody's having fellowship. This is a great part of the show, by the way, where everyone sort of meets and greets, and because it's not just me talking at people or people talking at me. We're a community, and I think that's a very, very important part of this whole program. Golden Ridge V says, "Oh, Thrash Pondo, ha 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 ha." Yes, I'm very funny even when I'm not trying to be. Actually, especially when I'm not trying to be. Oh, Dave Sunderland says, "Nice hat." Yes, as you folks all know, I'm a huge Rick and Morty fan. A little story: I lost this hat for a while. It was funny. I think it was actually on an old coat rack buried under a coat I hadn't worn forever, because it just sort of popped up the other day, and I'm like, God, I haven't worn this hat in ages. So yes, it's actually not my new hat; it's my old one. But yes, I love this hat. The Life and Set Editing just said, I just mentioned this live stream on my community page. Maybe it'll help. Well, it certainly couldn't hurt. So, Steve, thank you very, very much for mentioning my chat on your page. That's very, very kind of you. And I want to do a few shout outs actually while we have this opportunity. I have received so much help in this YouTube community, and it's just been touching between Ian C at Serial, Pat at the Golden Ridge of TV, of course, Dave Sundstrom and your brother Steve, Steve at the Life and Sad Endings, my friend Corey at Corey's Comedy Channel. You guys have all been just a huge inspiration, and I want to thank you all. I probably would have gotten this far if hadn't been for you guys and your great support. And I'm skipping down to Golden Rage wanted me to thank you. I think I already did this, but I will again. Golden Rage of TV says, looking forward to seeing you on Sunstrom tomorrow. Yes, I am going to be on Dave Sunstrom's channel tomorrow, and we will be talking about, among other things, Planet of the Apes, specifically the TV series. But as I've told many people prior to this point, it's hard to discuss the TV series and not mention somewhat the show. But specific topic for tomorrow will be the TV series. And Tracy Ross Meyer says, I'm good except for the allergies. LOL. Well, I'm glad you could laugh about it. My poor little granddaughter got an ear infection, and they pinned it to the allergies. She could never quite free up her sinuses, and sadly, it became an ear infection. Poor thing, but she's better now. Danny State remembered, as our friend Mr. Lance does routinely, and Mr. Daryl Johnson, there's Daryl Johnson in the house. Be sure to hit that like button, please. I regret I have but one like button to give for my country, but yes, please hit the like button. And Pat at Golden Rage of TV says, our pleasure, Bob. Thank you. Oh, Hungry Jerk says, met Roddy McDowell in '76 at my second convention. That is outstanding. Wasn't he doing that other short-lived sci-fi series? I want to say The Fantastic Journey or The Fantastic Voyage. It's about the shipwrecked people in the Bermuda Triangle, and they go to an island which is basically a kickoff point to other dimensions, and they're trying to make it home. It's similar to Quantum Leap, only instead of time travel, it's basically a dimensional jump. And I thought it had unlimited potential, but it only lasted one season, so the networks clearly thought it had limited potential. It's Fantastic Journey with Roddy McDowell and Ike Eisenman, yes, who I used to get confused with oh, the other child actor of that time, the one who was in Damnation Alley, whose name I would know like a shot in a second. Jack Earl Haley. I always used to get the two of them confused. Oh, by the way, a couple of things. Sadly, neither one of them are here, but I had a couple. If they do pop up, I will reiterate my answer. There were a couple of questions that were actually in last week's live chat that I missed just because the questions were scrolling so quickly. One of them was Lisa Fields asks who my favorite author was. And while there are many excellent authors out there, I had to go with science fiction icon Brian Wilson Aldiss, who you've probably heard me speak of in some of my earlier posts, and also friend of channel Derek from Flick Snacks and Knickknacks asked if I watch anime. Yes, when I ran my video store, we had a huge otaku client base, and I watched an extensive amount of anime at the time, particularly the works of Hayao Miyazaki, in answer to that question as well. Let's see what we got. Oh, John H says Fantastic Voyage was a movie where they went into a man's body to do surgery. Yeah, that's Fantastic Voyage. Fantastic Journey was a short-lived TV show. Life and Sending says my fave Roddy McDowell was Fright Night. Love that one. In fact, I was just talking about that with someone. Long story short, now of course he played Peter Vincent, which was a play on Vincent Price and Peter Cushing from early horror movies. But did you know that one of the original hosts of a late night horror show called Fright Night from the West Coast was a man by the name of Larry Vincent, who was later replaced by uh, Mrs. Peterson, more commonly referred to as Elvira. So Vincent Peterson, Peter Vincent, I think there might be some connection there, but that's just me. I seem to have missed a couple of questions. I'm going to go back here. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Lance Chapin says, "Hey Thresh, you see Force 5 or Megaforce?" Both. In fact, I believe I've talked about Megaforce prior to this. Oh, I'm sorry again, COVID cloud. In my Warriors retrospect, where I mentioned the guy who played Swan, the war chief, he said the Warriors opened many doors for him. Megaforce later closed them all. But yes, I am familiar with the film. Dave Sundstrom said Fantastic Journey lasted 10 episodes, so not even a full season. Let's see, skipping down. Oh, Katie Saylor's final world before retiring in her mid-20s. Yeah, there was some health problems or something, was there not? Oh, and John H says Ike Easeman and Jack Earl Haley do look a lot alike. They also had a very similar presence. They were basically like um, two sides of the same coin, you might say. Oh, and Mr. Lid points out Fantastic Journey had fantastic Raquel Welch. It certainly did. It certainly did. Skipping down. Oh, Roddy McDowell also appeared in The Twilight Zone. People are alike all over. Yes, with Susan Oliver, who everybody remembers from the original Star Trek pilot. Hungry Jerk. Michael Beck. Thank you, Lance Chaffin. Michael Beck was the person I was desperately hoping for. I knew I could count on you guys. And Hungry Jerk points out CroftCon is the most talked and anticipated convention in my parts for years. Yes, it certainly is. Everyone's talking about it, and I hope you'll have a good time. In fact, I was hoping for those of you who go, find out all you can about Bigfoot and Wild Boy. Hint, hint. I got something in the works about it. Let's see what else we got here. Barry Boswick / Michael B. Yeah, Barry Boswick was also in Megaforce, much to his horror and chagrin. Although he still thinks the movie that really flatlined his career was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So tell me, again, I answered a couple of questions that I noticed in the chat from last week. If there's any other questions or things that you people wanted me to talk about last week that I somehow missed or fell through the cracks, please feel free to interject them at any time, and I'll happily speak to them. Oh, we have some more people joining us in the chat. Gary Carpenter is with us. He says, hello there. Hello, Gary. Good to have you. He then goes on to say, I had thought Bigfoot was just for TV. Bigfoot was actually all over the place. Oh, Lance Chaplin says, and Devon Miles from Knight Rider was in Megaforce. I'm trying desperately to place him at the moment. I'm sure you're right, but I can't quite place him. I know if for those of you who remember Kentucky Fried Movie, the sort of vignette comedy film, the principal short film within it, A Fistful of Yen, the main character in that was also in Megaforce. Oh, and Johnny says Persis Kambata was the bald woman who I think died a while back. She certainly did. She died of a very rare disease. She was in, of course, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and possibly my greatest, well, at least as far as number of views is concerned, a post I did on Warriors of the Wasteland, also known as Phoenix the Warrior. She played one of the villains in that, and that was one of my best received posts for those of you who want to go back and take a look. Let's see. Zuperlick says, how dare not recognize Rocky and Bullwinkle as the greatest Saturday afternoon cartoon ever? Because when I saw it was syndicated on weekdays. I didn't see it on Saturday mornings. But it certainly was an excellent cartoon. Anything that's actually both political satire and kid friendly is okay in my book. Gary Carpenter says he was on The Ghost and Mrs. Muir. I'm assuming we're still talking about Roddy McDowell. I don't remember him on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Edward Mulhare played. Oh, Evan Mulhare. There you go. Now I just the operative. Yes. Now I can. Devin Miles. Now I can place him. Thank you. You know how long it's been since I've seen Megaforce. I may have still been in film school. So anyone just looking to see if we have any more people popping in? Again, if there's anybody who posted something that I should have seen and missed, feel free to repost. Oh, the Life Inside Ending says, Thresh, have you ever seen the Colossus the Forbidden Project? It's a good one. I certainly have. It's one of the one of the movies that was, let's just say, an inspiration to the concept of Skynet in the James Cameron universe. But yes, it was an excellent film, and that ending was just. I won't give it away, but it's an excellent film, and I love vintage science fiction. Dave Sundstrom say. I can't speak tonight. Dave Sundstrom asks Thrash Pondo, what movie are you looking forward to this year and why? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not. Most of what I've been looking forward to coming up recently is things that I can actually see from home. I'm really not comfortable going to theaters at this time. I'm sure I will down the road, but for right now, I'm looking for things that I can actually watch on regular, if not paid TV. And the biggest thing I see coming down the pike right now is apparently HBO has canned its prequel series to Game of Thrones. And while I haven't talked about it much on my channel, I was a huge Game of Thrones fan. In fact, my wife and I binged watched it when Massachusetts was on total lockdown for that 10 weeks at the beginning of COVID. My wife and I binge watched Games of Thrones together. It was one of the things we did as a couple, which got us through. And so I've anxiously been looking forward to the prequel. Oh, Jill Carter's in the house. Hello, Jill. So good to see you. And who else we got coming in? I thought I saw someone else pop in, or at least pop out. Oh, and Jeffin says, Dave, you doing any giveaways tomorrow? Yes, he's giving away a free evening of conversation with Thrash Pondo. That's me. So, remember when I said I had a couple of special treats for you guys tonight? I have two things that I'd like to do tonight, if you folks have an interest. One is my own brand of trivia. I have 10 movie related trivia questions, which I will give to you at some point. I also have another top 10 list of dad jokes. So if you folks have an interest, well, I'll tell you what, you guys tell me. Which of these two things, if either, would you like me to do first? Oh, Dave Sundstrom says, is anyone excited for Stranger Things 4? That series has a nice 80s vibe to it. It has an amazing 80s vibe to it. And I love the first two seasons. I couldn't quite lock into number 3. I'm not entirely sure why. I think I because I used to watch it with my granddaughter and she tuned out. That may have had something to do with it. Not 100%, but before I could see 4, I would have to watch number 3. But again, I do love it certainly is an 80s love show, I'll give you that much. Mr. Lid says, question Thresh, do you watch SmackDown or WrestleMania? I watched wrestling years ago. I've gotten out of it, so I haven't watched it in years. So no would be the short answer. Zubelik says, oh no. Oh yes. Oh, Dave Sundstrom has one vote for trivia. Daryl Johnson says dad jokes. And Zubelik says not trivia. That's one vote against. Chivin says yes, Dave, trivia. Zubelik says here with Mom Hungry Jerk. I'm not sure if that's a yes or a no, but I'll keep looking. Jethro Miner says, Robert, have you read any good books to recommend? If you like vintage science fiction, I have a number. In fact, you know what? I'm going to hold off for just a second because that actually is involved with one of my trivia questions. Oh, Life in Settings says, I just canceled Netflix. Have you seen the price of gas? I know, right? Have you seen the price of orange juice? And it's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets better. But then again, I'd rather walk to work and have my Netflix. And Jill Carter says yes, trivia. You know what, Superplex? I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with the trivia. And it's 10 questions. It's not multiple choice because sometimes that would give it away. And I'm going to do this very impromptu. I'm going to read the question, give you guys a few seconds, look to see who's getting it in the comment section, and then confirm if you guys get it or let you off the hook. And as always, I'm going to read them to you in no particular order. Number 10. Iconic filmmaker Clint Eastwood is known not only as an actor, but in more recent years as a director. So riddle me this. What film was Clint Eastwood's film debut? Yes. What film was Clint Eastwood's first attempt at directing? I better not that's copywritten. But while I'm giving you guys a chance to answer that, I'm just going to skip through and see if I can speak to anyone else. Oh, and the price of eggs. Yeah, orange juice and eggs. It's a war on breakfast. Wow, California's only $4.50 a gallon. Oh, that's for milk. I was gonna say it's like $4.20 for gasoline here in Massachusetts, and you guys are usually more expensive than we are. Ooh, got some very good guesses. I'm sorry. That's what I get for trying to read and talk at the same time. Ooh, Liz Chaffin says, Thrash, you seen Cyclone with Heather Thomas? No, but I love it already. I'd watch paint dry if Heather Thomas painted the wall. Oh, Mr. Lid asks, he said directing, right? Yes, the first movie directed by Clint Eastwood. Dave Sundstrom voted Pink Cadillac. I'm sorry, you were incorrect. A couple of you said Tarantula. That was an early role for him. He plays the fighter pilot. Interesting little side note. He had a very good friend at the time named Mara Corday, who was something of a scream queen. And when he was an out of work actor, she found him parts. That one, I believe she also got him the role in The Creature Walks Among Us, or one of the sequels to The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Years later, when she was out of work and he was doing Dirty Harry, he got her a gig playing the coffee shop waitress. So it's like one good turn deserves another. Oh, we got it. Daryl Johnson got it. Play Misty for me. Yes. And if somebody said it before, Daryl, you're right too. But yes, Play Misty for me was Clint Eastwood's directorial debut. Question 9. Name as many of the works which inspired the film Avatar as you can. This one's a little not selective, arbitrary. There were a number of works, and there's probably not a lot of wrong answers, but there's like a solid half a dozen off the top of my head. So I'm going to give you guys a chance. Do any of you know anything about the film Avatar? It was actually a loose conglomeration of every sci-fi book James Cameron read when he was a kid. And I read a lot of the same books apparently. So if those of you who can name as many as you can. And we already have some right answers popping in. So I'm just going to sort of lollygag while I'm looking. Oh, Gary Carpenter said Black Scorpion and Dark Claw. Good movies, but not the ones we're looking for. Whoa, Superplex. Very sporting of you. Never saw Avatar. That's fine. You can actually know trivia about a movie without ever actually seeing it. But I'll let you off the hook for this one. Everyone will get one free pass. That will be your free pass. And let's see what else pops in. Trey Ross Meyer says, "Can I even begin to guess?" Perhaps this one is a little obscure for me. I have a list here which I'll throw out. In fact, Trace, you can consider these some of those good books that I could recommend. I'll recommend the ones that I've actually read, and those will be my recommendations for this period. Well, a lot of you got Dances of the Wolves, and that's correct. And anywho, we would also have accepted Death World by Harry Harrison, Hot House by Brian Wilson Aldiss, Starship Troopers by Robert Heinlein, Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey, The Word for World is Forest by Ursula Le Guin, Call Me Joe by Poul Anderson, and Midlayers by Alan Dean Foster. There were some others, but I think that actually answers that. And I will now press on. Oh, John Carter of Mars. Good guess, but wrong. Actually, I suppose there was a certain level of similarity, and I'm sure James Cameron read the Barzoom books when he was a kid. So I will accept that. But move on to number 8. This is a funny one. What fruit is present in every major scene of the film The Godfather? Yes, in every dramatic and important scene in the movie Godfather, there's always this one particular fruit which is present. What is it? I did not make this up. This is true. I actually learned this when I was in film school. Okay, we're getting a couple of guesses. Ooh, right out the gate. Mr. Lead, pat yourself on the back, Daryl Johnson, as well. Yes, since you guys got this quickly, yes, oranges. The scene where when the Godfather is picking oranges when he gets the assassination attempt on him, when he inadvertently scares his grandson. Remember, he uses the piece of the orange to look like a monster or whatever. In fact, little fun fact about that scene, it's one of the few times in his career Marlon Brando ever broke character. Yes, those of you who've seen The Godfather, that scene where he's playing with the kid who's playing his grandson, and he does that, and the kid screams, and you see Marlon Brando go, "Oh, no, 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 no." That wasn't scripted. He actually scared the little boy, and he felt so bad for a millisecond. He actually breaks character to say, "Oh, no, 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 no." And then the kid catches on, and the rest of the film can be played out. But yes, for those of you who said oranges, you are correct. For those of you who said other fruit, sadly, you are less accurate. So we're going to move straight on to number 7. This is an easy one. Who shot Liberty Valance? Yes, in the iconic classic Western, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Who was the man who shot Liberty Valance? Give you guys a sec. I know this one is going to just start pouring in, unless you haven't seen the movie. Oh, Tracy Ross Meyer says, 8 love mob movies. I think it's I love mob movies. The Godfather was great. Yes, it was. Hungry Jerk says Gary Cooper. Okay, we got a tie for first. Yeah, we're almost a tie. Daryl Johnson and the 11 sad ending. Steve at the 11 and sad ending. Both said John Wayne. Yes, you'd be astonished, by the way, how many people actually say the Jimmy Stewart character. They say Jimmy Stewart. And I'm like, no, he thought he did. But it was actually John Wayne who actually shot him. Oh, another little. Yes, I have factoids about everything. Lee Van Cleef and Strother Martin play Liberty Valance's henchmen. And that very, very, very famous Twilight Zone episode about the gunslinger who goes to Boot Hill and well, I don't want to give away too much of it, but Lee Marvin plays the gunslinger, and his two friends are played by Lee Van Cleef and Strother Martin. So there was a little synchronicity with that Twilight Zone episode. But what you guys are good. You guys are good. The only one you couldn't answer was the one that was stupid. So I'm going to move on to number 6. This one's a little tougher, but it's one of my favorites. Number 6. In Jaws, what famous U.S. naval disaster is Quint supposedly a survivor of? Yes. What major naval disaster did Quint survive in the movie Jaws? Oh, Lee Van Cleef played in The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. I didn't recall that. I love that movie too. You know, that movie is one of the inspirations for Godzilla. I'm sure everybody on this channel knew that. All right, here's a bonus trivia question for you. What short story was it based on? Or was it inspired by, I should say. I'm sorry. Ooh, well, Dennis S. Oh, by the way, welcome to the channel, Dennis S. By the way, didn't see you pop in. He said Pearl Harbor. No, I'm very sorry. Steve, got it. It was the sinking of the Indianapolis. The Indianapolis being the ship that delivered the bomb to Tenney Island that finally ended World War II. Okay, here's a goodie. Question number 5. Name the 4, and I want to see 4. Name the 4 post-apocalyptic films that Charlton Heston starred in, or at least co-starred in. But there were 4 of them. And I'm skipping down here. Oh, for one terrible second, I thought my camera froze. By the way, if my camera freezes during the show tonight, I'll try to press on as long as I can with a still shot, but I make no promises. Okay, I'm getting 1. Dave Sundstrom and Dennis S. both got 1 of them. Omega Man. Dave Sundstrom has just gotten the second one, Planet of the Apes. Okay, we're halfway there, folks. Gary Carpenter says Planet of the Apes, yes. I'm going to give you a Danny Staten got the third one, Soylent Green. 75% success. Daryl Johnson, he cracked the code. It was Planet of the Apes 1 and 2. Yes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes also has Charlton Heston. So that is the 4th one. Oh, 10 Commandments. That was, well, the apocalypse is supposed to come later. That was more a Genesis, a post-Genesis film. And now moving on to number 4. Speaking of Planet of the Apes, and I know I said I wouldn't, but this is just a trivia question. This isn't actually extrapolating on the franchise, and it's about a film, not the TV show. But which Planet of the Apes film does not star Roddy McDowall? Yes, of the original franchise, Which of the Planet of the Apes films does not star Roddy McDowall? And Dennis S says number 4. No, I'm sorry, he is in that one. Life in Settings says, wow. I'll give you guys another minute. You have a 1 in 4 chance of guessing. Well, 1 in 5 chance of guessing, I should say. Oh, Jill Carter, yeah, with the Indianapolis. Yes, the USS Indianapolis was the disaster Quint survived. Ew, Hungry Jerk just said, Soylent Green actually tastes pretty good. Try it. Ew. Actually, in the book by Harry Harrison, here's another book recommendation for you, Miss Myers. The Harry Harrison book Soylent Green is based on is a sort of sci-fi police procedural book called Make Room, Make Room. And in the book, it's not Soylent Green, it's more like Steakum Steaks. Dave Sundstrom has gotten it. Beneath the Planet of the Apes did not have Roddy McDowall. It had, I wrote it down somewhere, but it had someone other than Roddy McDowall. So it was the second one. And yes, I knew you meant without. Oh, war film. In the film with Lee Marvin, The Big Red One, what combatant nation is the first country to engage the U.S. militarily? Yes, an iconic war film, The Big Red One. What combatant nation does the U.S. fight first? Okay, China. Dennis, you're swinging wild. And Superplex, Japan. All right, I'm going to qualify it. For those of you who haven't seen The Big Red One, it's the European theater. And by golly, Steve from the Life and Set Ending got it. France. Yes, no one ever gets that one because everybody forgets that France actually fought both sides at one point or another. Yes, the Vichy France defending their African territories was the first to engage the United States in the landings in North Africa. So, yes, ground combat of World War II by American forces faced off against France. Not for very long or for very well. But yes, that's the answer. Well, you guys are just rocking. I'm very proud of all of you. Number 2, name a rival gang in the Warriors. Besides the Baseball Furies. Everyone knows them. Yes. In gang action film by Walter Hill, The Warriors, name a rival gang. There's several to choose from. Denny Stain just said the French OMG. Oh, Gary Carpenter said, I'm not fond of war movies. I'm sorry. Oh, Lance Chafin was the first one to chime in. The Orphans. Yes, so far down on the list, they don't even register. The Life in Setting says, the Leprechauns? You know, I'm going to take your word for it. I don't recall them. Dave Sunstrom said, the Rogues. That's the one I actually went with. The Rogues, yes. Lance Chafin says, the Lezzies. Teresa Ross Myers says, come out to play. And he was one of the rogues. Zuplik says, don't remember. Thank you for playing anyway. Oh, Hungry Jerk says, I prefer the movie The Wanderers. That's actually a good movie as well. And I would have gone then with the Farnham Baldies. Yes, because I came to play. Well, that was fun. So that was surprise number 1. And let's see, go back to my question here. Oh, Dave Sundstrom corrected Lance Chevin saying the Lizzies, not the Lezzies. That may have been a typo, but while we're being technical, Life and Setting said, I'm clinking my beer bottles. Yes. Warriors. It doesn't work with plastic bottles. Warriors. Hey, one if by land, two if by sea. Which asks the age-old question, what if they attack from land and sea? Let's see. Lance Chaffin said, "I love that ending fight scene in the bathroom. That is like one of the greatest melees like ever. I thought they were gonna run out of mirrors at one point." Hungry Jerk said, "I'm bald too." Ooh. Daryl Johnson said, "The Moonrunners." Yeah, if you go to that initial speech by Cyrus, he names about 15 gangs. So any of those would uh constitute, I guess. Ozerblick says Pat left. Oh, well, it was nice of him to come by and say hello. Dennis S says Logan's Run. I'd be happy to chat about Logan's Run. I don't think it's one of the gangs in the Warriors. In fact, I was just talking about Logan's Run with somebody. I can't remember in what context, but that was one of those great 70s dystopian sci-fi movies. Little trivia here. The robot which runs the protein manufacturing plant towards the end, that was voiced by Roscoe Lee Brown, who has done a lot of science fiction. People don't really associate him with a science fiction actor because he did so many other things, but that was actually him, and he actually did a lot of science fiction over his career. Oh, Steve from Life and Setting says melee. I said melee, didn't I? Did I say melee? Milai. Milai, the Vietnamese battlefield. Lance Chevin says, "Can you dig it? The future is ours if you can count." Love that opening monologue. Um, let's see what else we got here. Gary Cameron says, "I don't like gang movies." I'm sorry, I can only name those two. Oh, Vitamin T just joined us. He's asking if I would be willing to do a interview with Kyle Lafette Foster Jenkins, who's a product manager of. I'd be willing to discuss it at a later time, but thank you for joining us. Definitely. Jill Carter said the battle for Planet of the Apes. I think she's going back and referring to one of my earlier trivia questions. No, I'm sorry. It was Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Or the one that didn't star. Yeah, the one that didn't star Roddy McDowell was Beneath. Hungry Jerk says they had a convention with a members of the Warriors. I would have paid over $300 for their autographs. Ooh. Mr. Lynn says, question Thresh, ever see the Carpenters? Oh, I'm sorry. Ever see Carpenters assault on Precinct 13 many, many years ago? I have seen it, but many years ago. I am a huge fan of Mr. Carpenter. Uh, Mr. Sundstrom says vitamin T. Apparently, that's some type of shenanigan. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. Okay. No, I would be interested in doing a interview. And thank you. Jenny Argater of Logan's Run. Yes, Jenny Argater of Logan's Run. She was in that, yes. Oh, Gary Carpenter says he's not related to me. Oh, there's a lot of carpenters out there. So, moving forward, Hungry Jerk says, I passed on their autographs. They charge too much for a bunch of has-beens. Ouch. Les Jobbins says, uh, and Werewolf in London, Jenny. Yes, Jenny Agutter was in American Werewolf in London. I'm starting to think Miss Carter is on something of a time lapse because she just answered Friends, which was the answer to one of my last questions. So, and yes, France was the country in question. Oh, Danny Stanton says, my uncle was a carpenter. He built houses. Hunger Jerk says, met Heather Menzies and Gregory Harrison in 77. My third convention. Excellent. Gregory Harrison. That's ringing a bell, but I just can't place it. Huh. Tracer of Myra says, I can see a sci fi movie with the Carpenters. Laugh out loud. But how about one about the Carpenters? Uh, holy cow. Gary Carpenter says, I had to pay $20 for Lou Ferrigno's autographs. Crazy. Kind of steep for just an autograph. Oh, Zuplik says, you once had a tryst with Jenny Agutter, as I recall. No, that was Jenny in a gutter. Uh, oh, Life Inside Ending says Trapper John MD. And Dave Sundstrom says Gregory Harrison was Logan in the TV version of the movie. Oh, okay. I do remember the short-lived TV series. Now that you call it, it like so many other science fiction TV shows, was basically The Fugitive with a sci-fi backdrop. I do an excellent post on that, by the way, for people who like to go back and watch my old posts. Oh, Genesis says Doctor Who, awesome series. It certainly was. In fact, if you go, well, I don't recommend you go to it just for this. I mentioned in my top 10 extravaganza, it was the posts I did for my commemoration of 100 subscribers, where I do rapid reviews of 100 films in a 24-hour period. One of the ones I do is my favorite Doctor Who episode, or miniseries, I should say, Genesis of the Dialects. And let's see what else we got going on here. Well, I'll tell you what, while we're just sort of bopping along. Oh, Zublik says, a pale rendition of the Logan Runs movie, in my humble opinion. I assume he's referring to the TV series. I tried watching it when I was a kid, and it just didn't really click with me either. But again, it was I don't know. I think at that time, TV sci-fi, they're pretty much phoning it in. So tell me, would you folks like my top 10 dad jokes read into this record, or should I save it for a different post? I'll leave it entirely up to you. As for right now, I'll just sort of wait for responses and kind of read it in. Oh, Jill Carter says yes. Zuplex says, oh, Dave Sundstrom said to Superplex, I enjoyed it, but you're right, it wasn't as good as the movie. And Superplex says, so true. Hungry Jerk says, I remember Heather Menzies in the movie. Was she in? I do remember that with Dirk Benedict and Strother Martin. I don't remember her being the young lady in it. I'm not saying that she wasn't. I'm just, I might have two different actresses stuck in my head. Oh, Kenneth Wilkinson says, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I know, Kenneth. Somewhere at point down the road, I'm going to have to do something on Doctor Who when I'm actually prepared to talk to Doctor Who. Oh, Daryl Johnson says, do it. Hungry Jerk says, yep. Gary Carpenter says, leave it. That's one vote for do it another time. Trevor Meyer says that movie was disturbing with the snakes. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Oh, a trivia question, by the way, or trivia factoid, I guess you'd say, more like it. The scene where she goes, the main character, if it's Miss Ben's argument or not, where she goes to the traveling circus and finds the snake boy, that actor who plays the man in snake suit was one of the three droids in Silent Running, the Bruce Dern science fiction classic. Superlick says, dad jokes, please. Danny Staten says, go for it. Oh, Dave Sundstrom says, gonna take off. Tons of fun tonight. See you tomorrow. Dave, thank you so much for joining us. It was my absolute pleasure. Take care now. I'll wait for everybody to say goodbye to Dave. He, man, deserves his due. Hungry Jerk says when Dirk was a snake and crying when he saw her boy, and when she was crying when she saw her boyfriend. Yes, yeah, there was some very disturbing imagery in there, I must say. Tracy Rosmar says it was just as disturbing as the Stepford Wives. Yeah, that movie was kind of crazy. Yet it's one of my mother's favorite movies. Zuplik says, okay, and let the Andy Griffith jokes commence. Okay, well, basically, I had a slight case of a theme shtick the other night where basically the same theme kept popping into my head. And what I noticed was we just had Cinco de Mayo, as you folks know. But what you people don't realize is how many other similar but not as well known holidays around the same time frame also took place that went by without being noticed at all. And so I have a top 10 list of the lesser known holidays roughly coinciding with Cinco de Mayo. For example, for example, a day commemorating World War II naval engagements is known as Cinco de Bismarck. Next. And the day commemorating 90s hip hop one hit wonders is Cinco de Bismarck. Next. And the day commemorating the career of Arnold Palmer is known as Cinco de Putt. And a corresponding Irish holiday is known as Cinco de Mayo. And a day commemorating people on low-fat diets is known as Holda de Mayo. And the day commemorating extended families is yours, Mayo, and ours. And the day commemorating the Plumbers Guild is known as the Cinco de Kitchen. And the day commemorating radical baby boomers is Pinko de Mayo. At this point, they tend to get a little silly. And the day commemorating long-running game shows is Plinko de Mayo. I know, I'm a Cliffhangers fan. And the number one to this list, if this list had its own holiday, it would be Stinko de Mayo. What do you think? Anything? I know that was pretty awful. But I promised a surprise. I didn't say it would be a pleasant one. Ooh, a lot of people seem to like the Plinko bit. Oh, I'm just going to scroll through really quickly to see if Hungry Jerk says no May Day. Hate commies. Wouldn't that be Pinko de Mayo? I broke my glasses. Oh well, they're my wife's anyway. I'll have to get by like there we go. Well, that kind of works. So, anywho, very interesting. Daryl Johnson says LMAO. They tend to get silly. Yeah, they really do. They really do. Oh, Dennis S says Plinko was the best. Live and Settings says terrible. A lot of people love the Plinko one, apparently. Or at least thought that was the funniest of an otherwise bad lot. Steve from the Life and Set Ending says, "That's entertainment." Jill Carter says, "Oh no." Superblex says, "I sympathize." Mr. Lid says, "Groan." Life and Set Ending says, "The famous glasses bit." Yes. Is this a famous bit? Well, it is now. And Tracer Master Rise brought up an interesting one. Plinko was fixed. I'd love to know how they did that. I'm not saying it isn't, but I know there was a game show that was fixed. Well, of course, Joker's Wild, but not Joker's Wild. The guy who was on Joker's Wild was on a fixed game show. But there was that one that had the whammy, the whammo, the wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. The guy realized that. Well, anyway, he figured out there was a pattern. So that wasn't so much cheating as just finding a way to increase your odds. Uh, oh, you like Cinco de Mayo? Thank you. Uh, Thank you. Tracer Ross Myers points out 21 was fixed. Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of. And Lance Travis pointed out Press Your Luck was the one where the person could figure out where the whammy was about to pop up and act accordingly. Let's see. Scanning really quickly. Just scanning through really quickly. Oh, Jill Carter says she loved Plinko. Stephen Levinson setting says it gets funnier every time you put them on. This could be a shtick. Broken glasses? Why not? I bet I have another pair in here somewhere. Superman. Ew. Now I know why I put these in the drawer. I think they're my wife's prescription. Yeah, these aren't working. I'm gonna have to stick with the broken ones. Sorry, people. Oh, Gary Carpenter said the $64,000 question. Mr. Lid said that one was fixed. Could be. I almost put my out that time. Hungry Jerk says Richie Cunningham could have won the $64,000 question, but decided not to. What a chump. Yeah, I know, right? You know, Daryl Johnson, the glasses bit reminds me of the Robert Stack in Airplane. Yes, I was actually just thinking that. In fact, I just saw that movie the other night where he comes in, and he rips his sunglasses off and he's got another pair underneath. Yes, I was going to say, I know whereof you speak. Duct tape. Duct tape. I bet you didn't know I had duct tape in my desk, did you? I bet you're not surprised, but yes, I have duct tape. Well, the things I won't do on a live chat, huh, folks? So, the things we do for love, like walking in the rain and the copyright infringement. Ugh. God, that looks pathetic. I look like a kid who got beaten up in high school. This is better. Could have been worse. I could put the duct tape right here. Super glue. Wow, you guys are getting very creative. I got these at the dollar store. I'll get another pair tomorrow. Much better. Oh, Denny Staten, LOL, nerd. Thank you very much. Lens Chaffin, 10cc. Very good. Things we do for love. Yes, very good. Jethro's Myers. Again, LMAO. Yeah. You guys love laughing at me, don't you? Now watch. Somehow this is gonna become a meme, right? and I'm gonna get like 10,000 subscribers because I looked like a moron. And you know what? I'll take them. Wait, there's gotta be another pair of glasses. You see, I'll be obsessing about my glasses now. Let's see. I keep a. And now you see why I keep all these pairs of glasses laying around my desk. Oh, that is so much better. Oh, I can actually see. Yeah, so crooked. Yes, thank you, Steve. They were very crooked. Hungry Jerk says, get a better pair at the $2 store. That would be an extravagance. Lance Chapman says, Thresh, you should do a music trivia next. Yes, I will. I've actually been compiling that actually for one of my other posts, but I'd be happy to do one here. But Life and Sad Ending says, best show ever. That's terrifying. That's if the most entertaining thing I've ever done is break my glasses and try to muddle through. I think there's a message in there for all of us. Oh, and yes, Trathros Myers, Mr. Lid says it's now the $1.25 store. I say it like it's big news. Although you can still find a few things in there that are still a buck, but in any event, I think I can spare the extra 25 cents. But let's see. Gary Carpenter also says next time do music trivia. I'm sure, Steve, I'm sure Pat and Dave are gonna like hear about this and catch it all in rerun after I let it post. You know, Superplex, he says the 99-cent store was too expensive. I actually got thrown out of there because I asked for a price check. Danny Staten says, nice change of glasses. Those were looking modern day. The other ones looked 70s ish. Yeah, the other one was my wife's, but they had big frames, so it was just easier to see everything with them. Hungry Jerk says, our dollar store went out of business. All the ships can't get to port unloading. I never realized that I was going to do this much promotional material for the dollar store. They're gonna have to monetize me. Oh, and did our bot or troll or whoever that person, Mr. T, go away? By the way, huh? I just thought there was somebody new to the channel, but apparently, Dave knew their game. So, well, whoever they were, you had your fun. Go away. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let's see what else we got going on here. I'm getting a lot of emojis saying good job. What I did a good job for. Thank you. So again, just to like drive the point home. So with my next live chat, which I don't know when that's going to be because Pat does need his time slot back for next week. He did tell me that he's got something going on for next week. I believe he's going to be discussing his upcoming CroftCon plans. But music trivia would be something you guys would like to see. I'd be happy to do that. I would pretty much stick to like 70s and 80s music. That's my forte. But like I said, I'd be willing to talk about whatever you guys want to make the topic. Ooh, Steve from Life and Sad Ending says no politics. I tend to stay away from politics as if it was plutonium. As of late, I have doubled my efforts. So yes, nada on the politics front. Oh, Lynn Chaffin, you blocked her? Okay, cool. So whether she left on her own volition or you guys booted her, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Well, anyway, thank you for your I guess being my wrench. Thank you to all my wrenches. Only thing I've wrenched is my ankle. Remove wrenched ankle. So let's see what we got. Zerbelik says no, more popular culture. As in the current pop culture? Okay. Hungry Jerk says CroftCon is going to be so much fun. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I am green with envy the way you guys are all going out there in droves. Daryl Johnson says Tuesdays would be good. Tuesdays would be great. Unfortunately, as you folks know, I work in hospitality. I'm a bartender at a local restaurant, and Tuesdays is the one weeknight where they absolutely need me in house. In fact, as the summer comes up, it's the big holiday summer season in Cape Cod. I might have to give up being free on Wednesdays as well, but I'm going to burn that bridge when I get to it. But if something comes up, I'd love to do Tuesdays, but at the moment, I'm stuck with my actual work commitments. Steve from the Life and Setting says, I am going to do a live stream at the same time as Pat. Subject TV counter programming. Then goes on to say, just kidding. I'm going to do one about solidarity. I'm going to do it when everyone else is trying to as well. Hello, Randall Fox. Randall Fox says favorite new wave band. Is that something you want me to do a post on, or do you want me to answer your question? No. I would say I can actually say I have a few favorite new wave bands. I would probably. Well, I'm trying to remember what they used to consider new wave because there was some debate over it back in the day. Like, oh no, that's punk. They're not new wave, and oh, that's not new wave. They're nouveau retro. Um, but I would have to say, I don't know, the Buzzcocks maybe, or EIEIO, or well, I'll start with those two. If I can think of something better, I'll let you know. Okay, Gary Carpenter said, yeah, 70s and 80s. Excellent. Zerplik says, new wave band. What happened to the old wave? But I'm bummed. Robert, how do you know so much Yiddish? Short answer. From my mom. Let's see, Daryl Johnson. I found dark techno. Oh, that sounds dark. Ooh, Zerplik asks favorite cocktail. The Singapore Sling. Singapore Sling is a Tom Collins. That's gin, sour mix, and soda water. But you put a little cherry brandy on the top. Very tasty, very refreshing. Perfect for hot summer days. Daryl Johnson says Fridays. Weekends are actually my blind spot. I do doubles on Fridays and Saturdays, and then I still put dinner service on Sunday. So yeah, Fridays are actually. Danny Staten says Thursday nights are the best. Yes, that's probably why Dave took them. But when he's not doing a show, I'm sure he might be willing to let me nibble at some of his free days. Gary Carpenter said, "Funny, not on your wrench." Funny, not on your wrench. I missed that, but sure it has something to do with the wrench gimmick I mentioned earlier about getting rid of the spammers. Um, Hungry Jerk says New Wave was mostly from England. I do recall the English. The it was like the it was like the later wave of the English sound. Yes. Daryl Johnson said cyberpunk. That's more of film than music. That's sort of high tech dystopian. I think one could call it like Free Jack and that type of thing. Hungry Jerk says, "I know a lot of Yiddish. I work with rabbis." Oh, that's good. Jill Carter says, "Hi, Daryl. How much for a Singapore Sling? Depends on what kind of gin you use. You can usually get one for about $6, but you can pay like $13 if you use top shelf gin." Danny Staten says, "I like a white Russian vodka, milk, and Kahlua." It certainly is. Superplex says, "Black Russian Denny. That's where you omit the milk." Jill Carter says, "No alcohol at all. To own their each." And probably the best. Gary Carpenter mentioned the best Non-alcoholic cocktail, the Shirley Temple, which is ginger ale and grenadine. There's no alcohol at all. Ooh, Danny has brought up an excellent idea. No, dude, when Dave goes off, everybody wants more. You should go on right after him and keep the party going. What does everyone think? Danny, that's an absolutely outstanding idea. An absolutely outstanding idea. We could have Thrash Pondo's late show. And by that time, I should have StreamYard. So, Danny, and you could actually go on it with me because God knows I need someone to be my wingman. Life and Sad Ending says, "Good night, Seattle. Tossed salads and scrambled eggs. Bye, all." I think that means Mr. Steve is signing off. Steve, it has been a pleasure having you. Thank you very much for joining us. Ken Wilkinson says, "I like rum and Coke." That's a very, very popular one. Well, folks, as we seem to be winding down a bit, I think we can actually take a leave from Mr. Steve and say perhaps we could wind things up ourselves here. If you have any last minute questions while you got me or anything else anybody wants to say or read into the record, please feel free. But I'll give it a few minutes and then we'll just sort of maybe wrap things up until our next little visit. Lynn Chevin says bye. Yeah, bye. Bye you as well. Trey Meyer says, "I had so much fun. Thank you. I had a lot of fun too. I really appreciate you guys, by the way. And like I say, I appreciate the fact that I kind of do these very, very, very impromptu, and the fact that you guys are this supportive and show up and have fun really means a lot to me." Trey Meyer says, "I had so much fun. Thank you." Zuplex says, "It was fun. T-Pawns." Johnny says, "Bye, everyone." Zuplex says, "Fix those glasses." I did. I got a new pair. It's the disposable society. You don't so much go out and fix things, you just get to do one. Gary Carpenter says, "Yeah, you do that. I'd love it." I'm assuming he's talking about the late night chat. Daryl Johnson says, "Good job, Thrash. Thank you so much. You guys have been great." Hungry Jerk said, "I had fun too." Truth of Mars says, "Nighters all." Night to you, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, again, folks, thank you very, 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 very much. I had a great time. I'm glad you guys did too. And I'll should have another post up by the end of this week. If not, I'll be seeing you all again very, 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 very soon. Oh, and one last thing while I have you, don't forget, tomorrow night I'm on Dave Sunstrom. I'm going to be talking about the Planet of the Apes franchise. Anyway, good night, everyone. Peace.